Welcome to the director's commentary. First of all, our horror film is a stereotypical horror. We try to use as many conventions as we could. Sometimes we develop them and even change them. So, for example, the original conventions we used, it was pitch black through most of the film, and there was very little light.
And most of the story is based around an abandoned house.
The teenagers always make the wrong decisions.
Yeah,
By entering the house.
always happens in a horror, especially with something like Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
Blood as well. We obviously used fake blood. There was no pig's blood or anything.
We're not evil.
we, as you can see in the clip, we used the blood to paint a knife and used it as a trail, so the audience could see where the room was. Yeah, outside. That just gave a hint of what was about to come.
We used quite a lot of pauses to create tension. Like there's a particular scene where he's walking up to the window with the camera, and just a hand appears on the window. But obviously there's a pause in between the two things happening, just to kind of leave the audience thinking of what is going to happen.
And also a dangerous weapon, in our case it's a knife, full of blood on the floor. So, obviously teenagers look to that, picks it up.
It also is quite a chilling thing to see a knife, with the weapon focus. And that the audience primarily looks at the weapon. Something, what you say is, it was a good idea to start with, but we couldn't quite do it in the end. It was, if you look while they enter the hall, there's a flicker of movement above on the upper balcony, but it's quite hard to see in the pitch black. But if you carefully look at it, which the clip's going to be, if you look at the clip, and you'll see that there is actually a flicker of something moving, which raises tension and scares the
Unless you know
audience.
something's there
Yeah, exactly,
inside the house.
When we were filming, behind the door there was a genuine cobweb, and while we were on set we decided that would be kind of good to use as a prop, so we used the cobweb.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Also chilling music house to raise some tension.
Made by Aaron.
Yeah, made by Aaron.
I thought that was really effective at the time.
Obviously got the heartbeat.
Yeah.
Near the end of the.
Which hopefully made the jump. The door slammed shut behind them. We really got off probably paranormal activity. It was a really effective moment of just the build-up of tension and a loud noise to set it off to make people jump.
And going back to what Adam said about paranormal activity, we really liked the idea of kind of horror films that involve the camera as part of the plot, so we wanted to kind of keep up with that trend by using the camera as part of the key part of the film.
We found it really important how we represented particular social groups. So, for instance, we used the teenagers in our film. It was predominantly teenagers, mainly because in the opening scene you wouldn't see adults playing at a park, wanting what to do.
It's also kind of a trend in horror films to
Yeah,
have teenagers get themselves into trouble.
And they obviously lack common sense because they're young and naive. The girl is an interesting one. We all felt like we had to have a girl in there.
Especially for the screaming part.
In the screen, when the door slams. We felt that was really important because girls are often in horrors represented as damsel in distress. So we thought it was really important that was there.
Also, it was easier for us to find teenagers as actors because more of them were kind of willing to take part.
Our age group.
Yeah.
Simple.
Obviously, when we started filming, or well, just before we started filming, we needed to find someone who was willing not only to back us financially, but to distribute our DVD and all the other merchandise with it. The companies we looked at to distribute the film, the likes of Hammer, Lionsgate, and Brain Damage Films, which is an amateur site which we'll go on to.
We thought maybe Lionsgate, because they've done quite a few horror films, but they're also quite broad. We've got quite a broad audience as well. They produced a lot of, or distributed a lot of stuff, so we thought maybe that would be a good option.
Obviously you have Hammer, which done a lot of the classic ones like Frankenstein and Return of Dracula. So I thought that would be
1950s.
Yeah.
They
I
were,
thought that would be quite good.
they were the really key ones in the as horrors began to. We thought that might be really useful. We also came across Argentina films, which is not a well-known distributor, but it's used in a lot of films. And the reason why we were thinking of using it is predominantly because of the fact that Dan, despite being the cameraman, is also an actor, so the camera, everything being portrayed through the camera as if it was an amateur thing, amateur shooting, like Cloverfield and Paranormal Activity, everything in Rec 1, which is Spanish horror film.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, everything like that. We thought that was really a key to our ideas.
So I thought the primary audience for our film would be about teenagers who like horror films, probably older teenagers, 16, 18.
Yeah, we also thought maybe like a secondary audience would be horror fanatics, because there are a lot of people that just collect horror films on DVD and just enjoy watching kind of the same kind of creepy storylines over and over again. I think ours really fits that, so we put that as a secondary audience.
To attract our primary and secondary audience, as I referred to earlier, we used a lot of original conventions as well as developing and even challenging some boring conventions.
This was kind of the first kind of big major thing that I did with film, so I kind of learned how to structure things a bit more. With our preliminary one, we didn't really have very long to do it, so we kind of didn't have the cuts preset. We just kind of cut them, but whereas with this one we knew where the cuts were going to go.
The acting was a better. We were more focused on this one as well. We learned took a lot of cuts compared to our preliminary one. Looking back at it, I hope you can see an improvement in how we've learned and progressed to the main video, and well, I just hope you've all enjoyed the filming.
Definitely learned how important the planning is before the film actually takes place.
The setting as well. The setting took us ages to prepare, not just prepare, but then dismantle afterwards.
Yeah.
Everything took, even though it was on a low budget, everything to clean the wall and everything from the studio to reuse.
Yeah.
So, well, I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you will enjoy the film. We really enjoyed making it.
Yeah, we did.
So,